Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mercedes coming to you from another live video. So, what's going on for this morning, people? What y'all been doing? Okay, we haven't posted in a few days, but we're trying to get ourselves together and up and running now. So, what y'all been up to? Okay, the story for today, or the topic for discussion for today, is going to be about the Mandela Effect. Now, I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Mandela Effect. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but a short description of what the Mandela Effect is okay. If you have a memory of something that happened in the past, and you thought something happened, or you remember it, this is the best way to describe the Mandela effect. You remember something happening a particular way, and then later on you find out that it did not happen. Now that is one of the weirdest things or experiences that you can have. Like, you do not know what is going on. So I've experienced this before. I give them a perfect example of when I experienced this. I thought that I heard, like, I could have specifically remember, and I specifically remember and thought that I heard that. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is me. This is your girl Mercedes coming to you live, and we're talking about the Mandela Effect today. So I can recall hearing, like, Rachel Robinson, Jackie Robinson's wife. I distinctly and I specifically remember hearing that she had passed away sometime, I would say, the end of 21 or early 22. I believe it was in 2022. And now, maybe like a few weeks ago, or maybe like a few months ago, I heard that she was still alive. And I said, what? I distinctly remember hearing that she had passed away. And I find out a few months later that she was still alive. So, the Mandela Effect. It's named after Nelson Mandela, and there's a reason why this thing is named after Nelson Mandela. Let me see if I can pull up Nelson Mandela here so you can see. So, the reason why they name it the Mandela Effect is because there are some people that actually believe, like back in the early 80s, okay, they remember hearing that Nelson Mandela had passed away. A lot of people remember, like, all these people have a recurring memory of something that happened. And later on, years later, when he got out of prison in 1990, some people thought they were like having an out of body experience, probably because they distinctly remember them having a funeral. It was live broadcast, and a lot of people remember Nelson Mandela actually passing away. So this is Nelson Mandela. Now, a lot of people actually remember Nelson Mandela passing away in the early 80s. He got in prison in 1963, okay, because he was a activist in South Africa. And just like Martin Luther King, when you're trying to do right and you're like one of these type of people, they call you an activist, they might call you a revolutionary because you're going against the grain and you're standing up for what's right. So some people actually recall hearing that Nelson Mandela, this is him when he was young, and then in 1963, he got in prison and went to jail. And, we recall him getting out of jail in 1990. And it was this big celebration because Nelson Mandela got out of prison. And I remember in early 1990, okay? But there are actually people that remember him passing away. There's people that actually say they remember Nelson Mandela passing away. So I'm like, that is kind of weird. They remember the funeral. They had a big funeral broadcast. A lot of people still remember that. That is the weirdest thing. That is the weirdest thing. Now, I just found out about the Mandela Effect. So that's the reason why they name it the Mandela Effect. It's like something that it's just a situation where you just feel like you remember things happen in a certain way, like you distinctly remembering this stuff happened in a certain way, but it didn't happen. Okay. The lady from Welcome Back Kotter, she was on Welcome Back Kotter. I'm trying to pull up now. I distinctly remember hearing she passed away, I think back in 20 or 21. I'm going to pull it up now so I could see. But yeah, I distinctly remember hearing that she passed away. So sometime after, I hear she was still alive. And I'm like, I distinctly remember hearing that she had passed away. Distinctly remember hearing that she passed away. So it's something now called the Mandela Effect. What? Yeah, it's something called the Mandela Effect. No, I thought her name was something else. Yeah. Vernie Watson. I know it was Vern. I used to call her Vern, but her name is Vernie Watson Johnson. Yeah, this lady. Okay, this is her. This is Vernie Watson Johnson. I was trying to pull her up to see like her complete name. This is her. This is more what she looks like now, but she was the young girl, African American girl on Welcome Back Kotter. Now, I distinctly remember Vern Johnson. I distinctly remember hearing that she passed away some time back. I know she won a Daytime Emmy Award. She was on General Hospital. I don't know if she's still on General Hospital, but she was on General Hospital. And I distinctly remember hearing that she passed away. I found out sometime later that she was still alive. But I specifically remember, it's like you having an out of body experience, okay? This is like totally, you actually feel like you're having an out of body experience because you're not losing your mind. You specifically remember something happened in a certain way. And then later on, sometime after, you find out that it didn't happen that way. So why do you remember? It's like, why do you remember things happen in a certain way? And then you find out later on that it did not happen. Okay. So, oh yeah, there's another thing I remember too. Okay, so that's why they named the Mandela Effect after Nelson Mandela. Now, a lot of people still remember Jiffy peanut butter being Jiffy. Like a lot of people still remember Jif peanut butter being Jiffy. I remember it being Jiffy. Okay. I remember it being Jiffy myself. And I remember growing up, it was called Jiffy peanut butter. But now it's Jif. But I distinctly remember it being Jiffy. Okay, Jiffy peanut butter. So that's a big thing with the Mandela effect. That is a very, very, very big thing. The widespread false memory that the brand was once called Jiffy instead of Jif. But it's a lot of people that misremember something. That's what they're saying. You misremember. But I don't understand how you could misremember something. You know what I'm saying? If you remember it happened in a certain way, I don't see how you could misremember. Because some people say you could misremember something that actually happened. Okay, Mabel King. I can give you a few examples of when I experienced the Mandela effect. Another one is with Mabel King. She was the mama on What's Happening. Mabel King. This is Mabel King. If any of you guys remember the show What's Happening, this was the mom. She was the mom on What's Happening. I distinctly remember her passing away in the 80s. I actually remember her passing away in the 1980s. Like maybe sometime after the show was over or something like that. I distinctly remember her passing away in the 1980s. Like I actually remember them saying Mabel King passed away. So now they're saying, this is Mabel King. She was a good lady. She was a good actress, funny lady, nice lady. She was Raj's mama and Dee's mama on What's Happening. If y'all remember Miss Mabel King, I distinctly remember hearing that she passed away in the early 80s. Now they're saying, so years later, I find out that, let me see what year they're actually trying to say now that she passed away. 1999. They're trying to say that she passed away in 1999. No, that's a lie. That is actually a lie. Now, publicly on record, now they're saying that she passed away in 1999, but I distinctly remember her passing away in the 80s. Okay, I can give another example where I have actually had a misremember something, or I had a false memory where I remember something happened in a certain way and then people say it didn't happen. So I know a lot of people may have experienced that. So they're saying if you have that experience, it's like an out of body experience. People are saying if you have that experience, that's what you call the Mandela effect. Okay? It's called the Mandela effect. If people don't understand, and the reason, and I told you the reason why it's named the Mandela effect, because it's named after Nelson Mandela, because a lot of people remember him passing away in prison in the early 80s, okay? But the alternate reality is he really passed away in 1990. So another specific incident where where I've experienced this crazy thing, you know, called the Mandela Effect was with the movie Lean on Me. Now, I specifically remember a scene in Lean on Me, unless they took that scene out. Now, I'm not saying, I don't know if they took it out. They could have taken it out. Okay? They could have taken that scene out. But I distinctly remember, okay? I distinctly remember. Okay, let's see. Lean on Me. Lean on Me. So, yeah. So, about the movie Lean on Me, like, I distinctly remember a certain scene, like, okay, with Morgan Freeman. He was talking to this younger, I think this boy was Hispanic, and he was dealing drugs and everything. And Morgan Freeman, he was playing Joe Clark. And it was based on a true story. Like this movie, Lean on Me, it was based on a true story. And, it's like Morgan Freeman was talking to the young Hispanic guy, like he was, telling him, man, you better not leave school. The boy said he just wanted to leave school. He wanted to drop out of high school. And Morgan Freeman was telling him, man, if you go out there in the streets, you're going to end up dying. Okay, you're going to end up dying. He said, you better stay in the school, finish school, because you don't want to be out there in the streets, man. He said, you don't want to be out there in the streets, man. And the boy just walked off and left the school. So sometime after, yeah, Morgan Freeman told him, he said, you're going to be dead in a year. He said, if you leave now, you're going to be dead in a year. And sometime after that, not long after that, they got word back at the school that the boy had passed away, like he got killed. Might have been a few weeks after the man told him that. Might have been a month. It wasn't long after. It was not long after. And that was based on a true story. Okay? And I remember Morgan Freeman telling the guy, he was like, man, if you leave this school, you're going to pass away. So I remember the scene where they heard that he had passed away. And now when I watch, now when I watch the movie, they took that part out. They took that scene out. Like, I don't remember, they don't show that scene anymore, but I distinctly remember that scene. And I don't know if there's, I wish I could get some feedback, like other people to really join in these discussions, because it's really, 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 these are really some interesting discussions that we're having. This is Morgan Freeman on Lean On Me. So I distinctly remember hearing that. Like, I distinctly remember that scene in the movie. But now, the last couple of times when I watched that movie over the years, last few years, it's like they took that scene out, or I don't know if they took that scene out, or if it's just like the Mandela effect. It's like I misremember something. So those are the certain instances where I definitely recall remembering something a certain way, and then come to find out later on that it did not happen. It did not happen. Okay. This is the official definition of the Mandela Effect. Okay? The Mandela Effect is a phenomenon where a large group of people share a false memory about an event or detail. Example: include remembering Luke, I am your father. It's actually no, I am your father. Or the spelling of the Berenstain Bears. Some people remember the Berenstain Bears being a certain way. I remember it being Berenstain, Berenstain. Now they're saying it's Berenstein, like Stein. But a lot of people remember it as being Berenstain, like years ago, years and years ago, like 20, 30 years ago. These are different Mandela Effect examples that some people might. So they remember, some people remember in Star Wars, this is Darth Vader. This is from Star Wars. Like, some people still remember in Star Wars that they said a certain line one way, and a lot of people remember it a certain way. So yeah, Nelson Mandela died in 2013. Okay, Nelson Mandela, he officially passed away in 2013, but a lot of people remember him passing away in the early 80s. Okay, a lot of people remember him passing away in prison in the early 80s. So I just want to know, one day I'm really going to have a live, when I get this channel really organized, I'm going to have a live one day where people can actually come on live and talk about this, like if they ever had that experience before, because it's like an out of body experience. Like, you remember something happened in a certain way, and you find out later on that it actually didn't happen. Some people remember Darth Vader saying something in Star Wars. Like, some people remember a certain line from Star Wars, and later on they realize it wasn't that way. It's something else. So it's really, 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 really weird. It's weird. So I just found out about the Mandela Effect, I would say, when did I first find out? When did I first learn about the Mandela Effect myself? Because I had never heard of it before. Okay, I think I first heard of it in 2018, maybe 2018, I would say. I'm thinking when I first heard about the Mandela Effect, hmm, I would say maybe 2017-ish, 2018, something around there. That's what I distinctly remember that. So I'm like, wow. Captain Crunch is another example. Now they're showing you different examples where people remember something being a certain way, and later on they remember and they realize it didn't have Captain Crunch. Now some people remember Captain Crunch being is spelled all the way Captain Crunch. Now I'm not really sure about this particular situation. Like Captain Crunch, I'm not really sure. Captain Crunch is my favorite cereal, so I should know. And I loved it over the years, but I can't not really specifically remember it being Captain. Now, there's some people out there that actually might know what I'm talking about. They probably heard of the Mandela Effect, and I was giving people some examples of where I personally experienced the Mandela Effect, where I specifically remember things happen in a certain way, and then come to find out later on, it did not happen that way. So that's weird. It's weird. Like when stuff like that really happens to you, and when you actually have that experience. Okay, so this is about Sinbad. Kazam. Yes, I do remember. This is my first time actually seeing this. A lot of people remember Sinbad being a genie, and they remember Sinbad playing a genie in a movie. I remember that. I remember Sinbad playing that genie. Now that they mention it, this is actually my first time seeing this. This is my first time hearing about this particular instance. Well, okay, I never heard about this one before. This is about Sinbad. I remember Sinbad playing the genie in a movie called Shazam. And now they're saying he did not never play the genie. So it's saying Sinbad never played a genie. I don't believe that. So this is something weird going on because I remember Sinbad playing the genie. Now I remember it. I do remember it. Shazam. That Sinbad was in the movie. He played a genie. Now I do remember that. Then they're saying it never happened. Oops, I did it again. Britney Spears. Yeah, they say some people remember Britney Spears in one of her videos. She had on like a headset in the video, and now they're saying that it didn't happen. It never happened. Like she did not. This is Britney Spears. Now they're saying like she did not have on the headset in the video. It never happened. I think I remember her having on a headset. Now that one I'm not really sure about. I can't really say. But there, Jiffy peanut butter. This is the most popular. I think this is the most popular instance with this is the most popular reported issue with the Mandela effect, where some people remember it being called Jiffy. I remember it being called Jiffy peanut butter. I remember Jiffy. I'm one of the people that actually remember Jiffy peanut butter. I remember it being called Jiffy, but now it's Jif. And I remember one time when I went on the phone, sometime after when I first learned about the Mandela effect, I think in 2017 or 2018, I remember going online and looking up Jiffy peanut butter and it said Jif. And I got this weird feeling. It's like I got this funny, funny feeling. I don't know what it was. I got this weird, funny feeling. Okay. And I'm like, wasn't it used to be called Jiffy? So the next one is Berenstain Bears. People remember it. Some people remember it being Berenstain, Stain. I remember it being Berenstain myself. Now they're saying it's Berenstein, Stein. Like, the Mandela Effect is really something weird and strange. That's why I really wanted to make a video about the Mandela Effect, because it really is something really weird. And it's like you're having an out of body experience. And you don't even know what in the world is actually happening to you. Like, you feel like you're losing your mind. But how did that happen? So that's why I think I wanted to make a channel about this. This is Curious George. Some people remember him having a tail. Some people don't remember. I remember my brother. He had like a little Curious George teddy bear, I want to say, like back in the early 80s when he was little. He had like a Curious George teddy bear, and I remember it having a little tail. Now they're saying Curious George never had a tail. So I'm like, it's something weird going on. I said, it's might be something weird going on. I said, maybe it's something weird going on where they want people to feel like they're losing their mind. But it's not the way it is. Febreze, some people are thinking Febreze was spelled with two E's. Now it's one E. Okay? I'm giving you so many examples of the Mandela Effect and what it really is. I don't know. I'm not sure about Febreze. That one I'm not really sure about, because some people are saying they remember it being Febreze, like with two E's. Some people are saying they remember it that way, but I don't know. Oscar Mayer baloney. So what is it now? Oscar Mayer. Oscarmeyer. Okay, so I remember it being Oscar Mayer, like with the. This is Oscar Mayer bologna. I love Oscar Mayer bologna. I love bologna. They're saying now it's Oscar Mayer. No, it's Oscar Mayer. Now this one I remember. I remember it being Oscar Mayer, like Meyer, because I remember they used to sing the song. My baloney has a first name, it's Oscar. My baloney has a second name, it's Meyer. So I could even sing the song. So I distinctly remember it being Oscar Mayer. But yeah, these are just some specific situations or some specific examples about the Mandela effect. And it's just really something weird where you just really feel like you're having an out of body experience. And I gave you guys some examples of when I actually experienced it myself. Like, I thought I remembered something one way, and then they end up saying it happened another way. I mean, this is weird. Because now that one about Sinbad and that movie, I distinctly remember Sinbad playing that genie. But this is just today. This is my first time seeing that. Now, that's really that's a crazy one right there. Like, that is really a crazy one. That's a crazy one right there. Because I remember myself. Okay, I remember Sinbad playing the genie in that movie. It was called Shazam, and now they're saying it didn't happen. Now they're saying Sinbad never played a genie. They're saying he was never a genie. He never played a genie in a movie. And I'm saying to myself, like, no, there is absolutely no way. I distinctly remember him playing the genie. That's a good one. That's one I never heard before. Now that is now the Oscar Mayer. Oh yeah, yeah. I remember it being Meyer. So with Fruit Loops, now Fruit Loops, I always remember it being with the two O's. I don't ever remember it being Fruit Loops. Now with Fruit Loops, some people say they remember it being fruit, Fruit, and now it's Froot. I think I still remember it being fruit, right, with two O's. Now, I don't really ever remember it being fruit, like spelt out fruit. Well, these are just some examples about the Mandela Effect. And I wanted to make a video about the Mandela Effect because it's a very interesting topic that I really thought people would be interested to see and hear about this, because it's really, 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 really crazy. So, this is the newsroom here. We're in the newsroom. And on this channel, we're pretty much talking about things that, you know, amazing topics, different. It's called Another Perspective. And we giving some interesting topics. We're giving some interesting topics about things that you never thought about, or we're giving you information about things that's happening now, like in the world, like let's say with music or politics, things that you never heard about. And here on this channel, Another Perspective, we're just trying to give you another way of looking at things from a certain perspective. But yeah, I mean, the Mandela effect really is interesting. That really is an interesting topic, because it's like you remember things happen in a certain way, and then you realize later on that it really didn't happen. It just really didn't happen. So, it makes you feel like you're actually having an out of body experience, and you don't even know what's going on. So that really is the weird thing about the Mandela effect. Okay. So that is just really something for people to think about. Okay. That's just something for people to think about that they probably never thought about before. Like, we're just giving you another perspective and a different way of looking at things. I do not know what is wrong with this thing. I really do not know. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So that was about the Mandela effect. I think it's a very interesting topic. I mean, I do not know what is wrong with this thing. It's like it blanks out, it doesn't work, and I wonder, like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy, man. This is totally, totally damn crazy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this your girl Mercedes signing off.